For my friends that like Corvettes, I thought it might be fun to compare a C7Z06 to a 1991 C4 base coupe. And about probably 5 years ago, I bought this 1991, and it was kind of in sad shape. And I took it and restored it and repainted it myself. Did a lot of work on it. I enjoyed driving it a lot. It has a 6-speed stick in it that I really enjoy shifting, running through the gears. It's a lot of fun to drive. It is a Z51 model though, so it rides pretty harsh, really. You feel every bump and pothole in the road quite a bit. It has 250 horsepower or 350 cubic inch engine. And so you compare that a little bit to this car here. It's I think called a 6.2 liter engine. I don't know what that works out to in cubic inches, 370 something I believe. It has 650 horsepower, so it's got 2.5 times the power of the old C4, and it's got a lot of torque too, so it's real easy to spin the wheels on this car. I leave it in tour or sport mode, which senses when the wheels are spinning and stops it, so that's a good thing right now as I learn how to drive the car. And I thought it might be just fun to compare a few different things about the car with a C4. When you come down, you look down this side of the car, you can see that they just about line up. And when you look down this side of the car, you can see that on this side of the car, the C7Z06 is sticking out quite a bit farther than the C4. And I think the tread width on this one was like 70 inches or so, and on the Z06 it was about 77 or 78 when I pulled a tape measure across them. The weight of the C4 is 3330, I think, and the C5 I think was 3520. So this new car is about 190 pounds heavier than that car that's now 25 years old. It is easier to see out of the back of this C4 than it is out of the back of the C7. And you can adjust your mirrors out the best way that you can to try to make sure that you don't have anybody getting in your blind spot, but it's easier to see out of this C4 than the C7 for sure. One way they help you out on this is there is a rear view camera, and there's also 2 cameras on the front that will kind of show you the left and the right side as you approach a curve. And also what's called a PDR camera, which basically works nice to record track events and things like that. One thing that's really different between the 2 cars is the headlight systems. Starting with a C6 version, they went to a headlight that was basically in the body and no more pop-up headlights, but the C4 has pop-up headlights. We'll turn the switch on here. And you can see what the car looks like with the headlights up. And we can hear the car dinging at me, which is telling me to turn the headlights off, stupid. So we'll do it. And the C5 was the last year that had the concealed headlights. I suppose it depends on who you are about whether or not you like concealed headlights more than something like this. And so this is what the car looks like as compared to the one with the pop-up headlights. The hood arrangements are pretty different too. This one's just hinged at the front. It's very lightweight. I don't know how to tell you this, but it's really lightweight. What's underneath the hood is kind of interesting too. It's a supercharged engine, and it puts out a lot of power, way more than I'll ever be able to use effectively, but it's a lot of fun. Meanwhile, C4 has the clamshell hood. It is heavy. Just a lot of fiberglass in that thing, I guess. It's got a rod over there to help hold it up and stabilize it. And the engine underneath it, tune port injection 350, which for its day was a pretty good engine because the EPA had their foot down on the throats of all the car manufacturers with regard to emissions and things like that. But Back in its day, it was pretty good. I can still turn the wheels over with this engine, but you can pretty much run this engine with your foot all the way to the floor and you won't get into too much trouble. The Targa tops on the two are markedly different, both in the weight and the way you get them out of the car. This top, maybe I can weigh it in a little bit for you, but I bet it can't weigh somewhere between 15 and 20 pounds. And the top on that car, I'm going to guess, is somewhere between 25 and 30. So I want to say the C4 is probably twice as heavy as the C7. To get the top out of the C7, basically there are three places that you've got to go, and it doesn't take any special equipment. And it's really hard to see inside this black car, but there are two levers above both of the sun visors, and you just pull those forward like that, and one on the other side, and then there's a button right there that you push, and that releases the top, and then it comes out. So it doesn't take any special tools to get the top out of this car. Getting the top out of the C4 is a little bit more difficult than the C7. It takes a special tool, and what it is a Torx drive. And the previous owner lost the factory tool, so somebody welded this one up, and I kind of inherited the thing. Not the prettiest thing, but it does work. And there's 4 fasteners then that have to be removed. Kind of dark in here, don't know if you can see it or not, but there's one right there. So that goes up in there, take it out. And then there's a hole right up here. And so 2 of those on the front, 2 of those on the back, and then the top comes out. So there are the 2 Targa tops out on a pair of sawhorses. The one on the right is the C7 and the one on the left is the C4. And I can tell you that the C7 one is markedly lighter than this one that goes on my C4. And how do the cars look without them? I like it. We've done a little topless riding. And that's what the inside of the car looks like. And the C4 without a top. And I've drove this one a lot, minus the top. A lot of fun doing it. This top stores pretty nicely in here. I added a set of guide rails along the side to kind of help run it down into those points down there that hold it securely. This one here, I'll give you an inside secret here. There's a little button right underneath the TT on Corvette. If you push that, it pops the rear hatch open. And this top fastens. Hard to see in that black trunk, but there's a spot right here and one over on the other side. And then it locks into these receivers on the very back end. Pretty easy to get it in and out. So what's it like to get into one of these C7 Z06s and start them up? Well, I can just tell you it's a lot of fun. For one thing, if you haven't been around like the C6 and the C7 generation, the way you get into it, you reach into this little hole here, put your finger on there, it senses the pressure, and if it senses your key, it will let you open the door. So, right now, I've got this in sport mode, so that when we start it up, you'll hear a good growl. First of all, there's some buttons over here you can push on the side, and it'll remember where you're at, and it'll adjust the seat position and the wheel position as well. There's a start button right there, and so you've got to put your foot on the brake and press the button. And the car starts coming to life. Right now it's in sport mode. You see the S right there. eco mode. You can see every time you do this, kind of the look changes. Weather mode. So we'll put it back in track, or in tour mode for you right there. I don't know if you can see the heads-up display on it. All you see is the 0 and the park. Now if you change it to sport mode, you get a completely different look on the heads-up display. You'll see that. If you can see that very well or not, we'll try this. So there's the heads-up display on the sport mode. If you go to track mode, the heads-up display will change again. There's also a little button down here to the side, an info button that you can push, and it'll change the look of the heads-up display accordingly.